There are periods of time, long stretches of time where there's nothing to say or no words appearing in my mind. All that occurs is just observing the mind taking over, thoughts about thoughts, being aware of my own awareness, awareness of the body, sensations, and so on. And often, perhaps the way that I come out of this is to begin to construct boxes, I suppose, to sort of construct edifices, alright, out of these boxes, which are concepts, right? So I place concepts upon concepts, and then suddenly I'm in a kind of labyrinth, perhaps, some kind of greater construct within which I can begin to maneuver and entertain myself, engage myself with concepts, building upon other concepts, reflecting other concepts. It's all just, I suppose, making something out of nothing. And if I were to really at any point really just kind of pause and begin to be more reflective and to sort of hone in upon one of these concepts or an aspect of it and analyze what's really occurring, whether this thing that I take to be significant and objectively true as something a priori, were to really analyze it for a period of time, I would most probably see that it's nothing really. And it would take me back to this, because everything would begin to collapse, be a chain reaction, right? And I would just return to this emptiness, this vagueness that I'm kind of in now, where I'm really having to clutch at these pieces of language. I'm really trying to bring things together, trying to hold this contraction, this contracted state. I feel like I'm not even making much sense. I don't feel particularly lucid or, lucid. Or just feels very jumbled. I'm fighting this stillness, this overwhelming compulsion to just abide in the vast unknown, I guess. I'm looking around me here now, and the environment I'm in is beginning to change. Spring is finally beginning. Spring has sprung, you might say. Haha. And yeah, there are the trees and plants that are always the first to come into leaf. There's lots of hawthorn in these woods, and the leaves, the young leaves they're not in full leaf, but they've begun to sprout, and they're particularly vibrant, and it's really altered the yeah, just the kind of ambience, right, of this space. Hitherto, it seems for the past few months, which feels like an eternity, really, been looking out at this scene, and it's just been incredibly barren and skeletal and monochromatic. And now it's something different, something else. Yeah, but I'm not a pagan. I don't really have those sort of inclinations. So I look at this and see it as being really symbolic of anything, as being something meaningful and valuable. When I really just sit with it and look at it, it's just nothing. And that nothing is something that's, I'm not placing any kind of judgment upon, it's just nothing. There's nothing to really say about it, it just is. And I just am. And there's nothing more to say, ever. I can just go about my business for however long I'm going to go about my business for, and then whatever. That's I guess that's I guess how things are for me when I'm in this kind of state. When the lucidity begins to return and the sense of being someone is more pronounced, and there's more of a narrative begins to emerge in my mind again. It's never something good. It's a good narrative. And the world, which is, it appears to be narrating, right? That feeding these voices that it responds to is also not a good place, and I'm very much placing a value judgment upon it, right, in that sense. And I'm inclined to believe that these things are just it's entirely a natural ebb and flow, right, of biochemical processes. Everything is in flux, nothing is static. The change of the seasons around me being a perfect example of that. It's I kind of want to say that it's the part of this cyclical process of waxing and waning, right, of going from these relatively empty, still, placid, neutral states into these more turbulent, negatively characterized states, is that well, yeah, as I said, I'm in one of these points, right, and this pattern is characterized by negativity, but I'm prompted to say that it's the clinging to, or the expectation, as I've often been told or led to believe by others, that it's the expectation, right, of wanting things to be other that sort of amplifies this sense of negativity, of suffering, and were I to somehow relieve myself of those expectations, this process, or the stages within this process of waxing and waning, would be less painful. I would be more able to just take it in my stride, and yeah, I would be more detached, more impartial, and as a consequence of such, I would suffer less. Suffering, some people say, is just simply a story that we tell about pain and discomfort. We can't relieve ourselves of discomfort and pain, its inevitability, but we can relieve ourselves of suffering, or we can mitigate that in some way by ceasing to attach, by ceasing to have expectations, by ceasing to cling, claw away at life, and tell ourselves stories about it and how it ought to be and how it ought not to be. It's just the key is to just be impartial, right? Dispassionate. To be, I guess, passionately dispassionate. Kind of a Taoist way of looking at it, right? The sage is passionately dispassionate. Wu Wei, right? Is the concept of actionless action from Taoism, which is, yeah, it's paradoxical, right? But that's the thing. It doesn't make sense to the logical mind, but I've been over this a million times. I'm not going to go into this. I got sick of hearing myself rehashing the same stuff. But I do think there's some validity to this, nonetheless. I must do, or else I wouldn't keep fucking going on about it. Yeah. I kind of think that ultimately, though, it's overall that it's sort of people, myself included, I am a person, Spoiler alert. I am going to do whatever I'm going to do, irrespective of whatever I say I'm going to do or not do. These things are just stories, rationalizations that mean little to nothing. In many ways, it's as if we just don't really understand ourselves at all. I mean, the argument can be made for that we don't understand ourselves or our motivations for things at all. We can make reasonably good, clear, sort of cogent cases for why we may or may not do some things, why we may be inclined to do some things more than others. But ultimately, there's really no way to convincingly and conclusively determine whether such aligns with the reality. So we either settle upon something that seems to be kind of most appropriate, most fitting, or we abandon such things altogether, or just don't even analyze these things in the first place. Either way, the case I'm making here is that the outcome is the same. And that's just that whatever is going to occur is whatever is going to occur. And in many ways, it's what's going to occur has already as good as occurred. That if we live in a completely deterministic universe, then that the future is as concreted as the past is, and that in a sense the two are one and the same, right? They're indistinguishable. May sound a little bit far-fetched, but this is just kind of an intuition that I've had over time that I can't really shake. It's been more pronounced though in certain states, like when I've had what I refer to as derealization episodes. This sense has been very much pronounced, that the future and the past are entirely concrete and that they're the same thing, or in many ways they don't even exist. Yeah, very confusing. But some people will probably know what I'm talking about. They'll have some sense of it, no doubt. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's enough for now. I just felt like vomiting some words out and seeing what was there. Okay. Goodbye.